Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Global Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn, and joining me today is a new guest, Jamie, who's a Manchester United fan from Wales. How's it going, Jamie?
Yeah, cheers for having me. Yeah, all good in general. Not so good being a Man United fan at the moment, but what can you do?
Yeah, it's been 9 years of hurt and counting. Well, we're hoping for some better times potentially, because Jim Radcliffe has finally made it known his intentions to buy Manchester United. Um, he's interested in buying a minority stake with a view to taking control long term, and there's been some differing rumors about the Glazers. Some reports are saying that they want to sell a minority stake to raise some funds, and other reports are saying that they actually want to sell the whole club. Obviously, we want the second option there, but what's your thoughts on it all? Are you feeling a bit optimistic about this potential takeover?
To be honest, yeah, I am. A lot of optimism last night when the story broke. I do think. I think that the protests and the fans' reaction will see. I think it's going to eventually push them out completely. To be honest, um, I think that's the best option we can hope for. Hopefully, it goes that way. Yeah, I can see the option where they take over with the minority stake option. Yeah, I can see that definitely. I think it's going to be a long process, to be honest. As much as we don't want to hear that, I think we could be seeing the 18 months, 24 months. I can see this being drawn out. I don't think it's going to be a quick solution, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon. It's certainly not going to happen before the transfer window closes.
No,
I think
that's for
we're
sure.
going to suffer a lot of pain this season. I think,
Yeah,
as you know, the team at the moment it's still the same as last season. They're not a team. Clearly, there's still a lot of friction within the dressing room. They're not playing for the new manager. Already, there seems to be players briefing against the manager, which we saw that coming. We're bottom of the league. I don't know where our next goal is coming from. Never mind the next 3 points. We've got Liverpool up next, which is, even though they've drawn the first two games, I still fully expect Liverpool to win comfortably. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a lot of bad times ahead. But if Jim Radcliffe can secure the club by the January transfer window, then I'm happy to to stick it out. Are you?
yeah. Like I said, I think it's going to be a longer process than that, though. But something needs to happen because, like you say, it's just broken. I don't think it matters who we sign this window. I think we could get De Jong, Casemiro, any forward you like. It's just it's like a virus, and as soon as they come in, they all start playing the same way. I mean, no one can tell me that team, Varane, De Gea, Sancho, Ronaldo, we're not a 19th place club. We're not that bad. It's just there's a whole depression at the club. Nothing. Every signing we get excited about. They all come in. They all start playing the same way. You know, we haven't won a trophy for 5 years. We've signed all these players. There's been Di Maria's, Ibrahimovic's, Ronaldo's. It just feels like everyone who comes in is going to end up infected by the club, and something needs to change.
Yeah, I mean, Bruno Fernandes is a prime example of that. I mean, he was
Yeah,
sensational when he first came in, and now he's as bad as everyone else.
yeah. He
It's
can't.
terrible.
Yeah, he can't buy a goal. It's, at times, he just looks like a passenger, doesn't he? Just
Yeah,
unbelievable.
somebody commented on this podcast that he actually, his performances are just the same as they've always been. Just the goals and assists aren't there anymore. He's always been quite wasteful with the ball, but
Yeah,
now he isn't. Normally, you'd have like a 10-minute spell in a game where you get an assist and a goal, but he's not even doing that anymore. So and now he's bringing absolutely nothing to the table, just like many others. To be honest with you, it's so depressing. And this chaos in the transfer market is just making it worse. But
yeah,
the light at the end of the tunnel is this potential takeover, which we're all hoping that goes through. But like you say, it is going to be a drawn out process, I think.
yeah.
Um, hopefully, it is sooner rather than later. Um, what I didn't know was that Jim Radcliffe actually owns two football clubs already, Nice in
Nice, I
France,
knew that one. Yeah. I
yeah,
didn't know
and
the other
there's
one.
one in the Swiss league as well. I think. I think he also owns a. Is it a British cycling team?
All right.
and he's into sailing or something as well. So he seems to be well into sport. He said and his spokesman said yesterday in that article in the Times that it's not money motivated.
He's a
Um,
fan, isn't he? That's the biggest.
yeah, he was born in Oldham, I think. So yeah, it's quite close to Old Trafford. So
Yeah.
he seems to be a boyhood fan, and maybe he's just one of those billionaires he's 69 years old and he's got what 14 billion or something in the bank, and he wants to leave a legacy behind before he goes. And what better legacy than bringing Manchester United back to the glory days after an absolute decade of being in the doldrums under this Glazer ownership. So hopefully he's able to acquire the club. I suppose it's uh, if he's a fan, he's a billionaire buying the club and wants to bring him back to the glory days of the Premier League and the Champions League, similar to kind of Jack Walker in the 90s when he bought Blackburn. He spent all his money on getting Blackburn to the top of the Premier League. So it'd be a wee bit like that in a way, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it still feels like a bit of a pipe dream, doesn't it? It doesn't really feel real until it actually happens.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
it just seems too good to be true. But
Yeah. Hopefully,
but
there's a bit of a Abramovich effect. I don't know, like he's obviously he wasn't born in the area, but you could just tell that his love for Chelsea, you know, made them what they were in the last 20 odd years. Most trophies, is that still the case? The last most successful club in the last 20 years. Hopefully, we can get that sort of effect from him.
yeah, Chelsea are so fortunate. They went from Abramovich to Todd Burley, who's very casual with his checkbook, whereas we're saddled with the Glazers, who taking money out of the club rather than putting money in.
Yeah.
So hopefully those days are over for us sometime soon. But yeah, it is. There's going to be a lot more defeats to come, and this isn't going to impact the next few games. We're on a serious downward spiral. Um, I know it's hard to believe that we could actually be fighting relegation. I'll wait for 10 games in before I make that statement, but at the moment it's looking pretty bleak. I wouldn't even back us to go to St Mary's and beat Southampton at the moment, if I'm honest with you.
No, I read the other day that over the last 21 games, we're 19th, I think.
Yeah,
And
that's right. Yeah, I heard
seven
that
away
stat.
games, 7 away games in a row. I
Yeah,
don't think we can kid ourselves. I don't think this team's too good to go down at all. I think the recent results prove that. I think the end of the last season was as bad as it gets, and we just carried it on. I really don't think that we're too good to go down. I think when there's a feeling at a club like this, no, we're in trouble.
we are. Uh, Aberdeen fans this time last year probably thought they were too
Yeah,
good to go
exactly.
down.
Yeah.
We're probably playing even worse than that. Um, so there's been a lot of things coming out from the dressing room again. It didn't take very long for the players to seemingly turn on Ten Hag and start criticizing his methods. I think he was referred to as a school teacher who was scolding kids. They felt as if that's the way they were being treated. Um, Also, Ronaldo has been saying things on his on Instagram, not on his own account, but he replied to a fan. I think he said they know the truth when they interview in a couple of weeks. The media is telling lies. I have a notebook on the last few months of the 100 news stories I made. Only five were right. Imagine how it is. Stick to that tip. So it seems as if he's going to do an interview once the transfer window closes, and I'm sure his plan is to not be at Manchester United anymore. If he leaves the club by the end of the window and then he does an interview about the club, that's going to be pretty tasty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting point about the uh, criticism of Ten Hag. I think that just epitomises this group at the moment. I think there's a lot wrong. Obviously, the Glazers have to take the blame, but the players aren't exempt from that. I think that just sums it up. We're a week into the window and they're complaining about the training methods. They're complaining about Ten Hag's reaction when he made them run, was it 13.8 kilometres or something in training? Because that's how much Brighton outrun us. Was it Brighton or Brentford? Brighton, that was, wasn't it? Was it Brentford?
Brent,
Yeah.
Brentford, yeah, Brentford.
Yeah, I think that just epitomises everything. There's no there's nothing about any of them, is there? It's just
Yeah,
no
they're just a
character.
group of individuals who blame
Exactly.
each
Yeah.
other and blame the coaches. They don't take any responsibility for their own performances.
Yeah, and it's been the same for all the managers we've had, I think, since Fergie.
Yeah, this particular group. I remember it was only a couple of years ago that Gary Neville said he liked this team.
The most
Uh,
likable group, yeah.
yeah, he didn't like the team under Mourinho, but he liked this team. But they've actually turned out to be the worst team of the lot in terms of their attitude, and their
Yeah.
lack of team spirit. They are it's terrible. I just cannot believe it at times just how brazen these players are. That they take zero responsibility for their own performances. They would blame each other. They would blame the coaches. It's, I just, I'm just sick of them. Sick of them, to be honest with you. If if we had like a billionaire owner, we would have the ability probably to get rid of quite a few of them in one window, and
Yeah.
bring in a lot of replacements. But obviously, the Glazers aren't going to provide the funds to do that. So it's going to take 2 or 3 years to get rid of these players, unless the new owner comes in, fairly soon. And then I think what was interesting though was in 2019, Jim Ratcliffe did an interview where he said that United were throwing dumb money around on players like Fred. So, so if he does come in, I think Fred would probably be the
Fred's in
first
goal.
person to be paid off.
Yeah. It's bizarre though, isn't it? Because that team under Mourinho, it felt toxic then. Everything felt depressing then. And when Oli came in, it was a renewed sense of optimism where we played well. Was it a second and a third place finish? And to go from that to where we are now is unbelievable. Can't put
Yeah,
your finger on what's gone wrong. How have we gone from that? It can't just be from the difference of no fans in the stadium. As soon as COVID went, I don't know. It's unbelievable.
yeah. I mean, they went on this amazing away record that a lot
Yeah,
of people were talking about, but it was in empty stadiums. But as soon as the fans come back, they've hardly won an away game at all.
yeah.
It's just disgraceful. Um,
Go from such character to keep all these comebacks and the record-breaking away run to what we have now. It's crazy.
Yeah, and despite all the players that left this summer, most of them on a free transfer, and some of them on loan, like Henderson and Pogba, Mata, Matic, Cavani, and Lingard, it hasn't made any difference to the dressing room whatsoever, has it?
No, no, not at all. I think that just proves that there's something deeper running in this club, and that is. I don't think we could point our finger at anyone particular. Like Pogba and Lingard were the main ones. I think blamed for the sourness at the club, but now they've gone. Nothing's changed. There needs to be a deeper reset. We need to get rid of the owners. There needs to be a clear plan going forward. We need to get rid of some of these characters, bring in a whole new team, renovate the stadium, the training ground, the coaches, right the way through. Nothing's going to change until all that's done.
Yeah, the whole place needs gutted, and the stadium is just falling apart. Really,
Mm.
did you see the images on social media of them doing another paint lick on the Sir
Yeah,
Alex Ferguson stand? I mean,
yeah,
come on. I mean, like last year they were talking about bringing in the best architects in the world to design plans for a new stadium or an upgrade, and of course, all they're really going to do is just give paint over the rust in red paint,
yeah.
and apparently they've run out of red paint now.
I did see that one. Yeah,
It's just absolutely pathetic. And and like you say, I think there's a hole in the roof on the Stratford end. When it rains in Manchester, as it quite often does, it comes right seeping right through the roof, and it's like a Niagara Falls coming down onto the seats. And they've done absolutely nothing about it. I mean, and then perhaps even more embarrassing was Ronaldo complaining about chipped tiles in the pool at Carrington. He said that problem was there in 2009 when he
oh
was
well,
there initially, and it was still there in 2021. That is unbelievable, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, it's just symbolic of how this club's run, isn't it?
Yeah, just no investment whatsoever, and the income is drying up. Team Viewer have announced that they're ending their contract at the end of the
Yeah,
current period. The Adidas money will be cut by 30%, I think, at the end of the season whenever we don't qualify for the Champions League. The sponsorship deals aren't as lucrative as they used to be. And with no Champions League money, the revenue is drying up fast. Um, the stadium, the training ground, the squad needs major investment. Let's face it, the Glazers are not going to invest anything at all. If anything, they will borrow their way out of it again. And
I think that's how we're looking at what we're looking at.
one of the most worrying things I've heard in the last 24 hours is that they're potentially going to sell a minority stake to a private equity company in America. That would actually put us in an even worse situation than we're in now. I mean, like the Glazer family are leeches by themselves, but if they're gonna sell a stake to even more leeches who are, let's face it, a private equity firm, their only goal is profit making as well. So it's going to make things even worse. So we're solely reliant really on someone like Radcliffe coming in and buying them out and getting us out of this mess. Um, Elon Musk put his hat into the ring for a few minutes anyway, until he told us that he was joking. I mean, imagine the richest man in the world in Manchester United. I mean, nobody will be able to beat us then, will they?
Another United fan, I think. Elon Musk. It was an interesting point I've heard about the timing of that tweet. Did he know that the club is potentially up for sale?
He could have, because we know the Glazers have a close relationship with the American financial markets, and Elon Musk is, he's a bit of a nerd when it comes to financial markets. So maybe he heard on the grapevine that they're looking to sell Manchester United, and there's been lots of rumors coming from America that is indeed the case, and I just hope that it's true. Because it's been 17 years now of this ownership, and it's been progressively getting worse.
Yeah.
I mean, Fergie kind of papered over the cracks for 7 years or whatever it was until he retired, and then now the reality of the last 9 years is coming home to roost. I mean, we all thought that Ed Woodward was an issue and Matt Judge was an issue. Again, you take them out, it hasn't made any difference whatsoever, has it? It's just the same old crap.
Yeah, I think they were an issue, but I just don't think that issue's been solved. It's just the Glazers putting inept people in charge.
Yeah, bankers and accountants. Take a look at Bayern Munich. Oliver Kahn is their football director. We just don't employ people in the right roles. Like Van der Sar, he's the CEO of Ajax. I mean, Richard Arnold is just another Ed Woodward. I mean, I think they even went to university together. They're both accountants / bankers. John Murtough has never been in this role. How can your first director of football role be at Manchester United? You can't have someone who's learning on the job. And this transfer window has descended into a farce. I mean, John Murtough has been all around Europe and he hasn't been able to sign anyone. I mean, he's been to Turin, he's been to Barcelona, he's been Madrid, and he's secured absolutely. I know what have we done so far? Martinez from Ajax, probably an easy deal to do because of Ten Hag and a relationship with Van der Sar. And then Eriksson on a free, and then Malacia, a cheap deal from Feyenoord. I mean, that's it. He's tried to get De Jong and Rabiot, now Casemiro, and he's not been able to get any of those over the line. It's just a complete shambles. The window in 2013 when Moyes came in, we all know that was probably the worst because we signed absolutely no one until deadline day, and that person was Fellaini. We were linked with Fabregas and Bale and Toni Kroos, and none of that happened. And this window is a mixture of that one and the Mourinho window where he only got Fred, Dallo, and Lee Grant.
Yeah.
Because we've got 3 signings in this window, but we've been linked with a whole host of players that we're not able to get. So, do you think this is the worst one so far?
Because of the situation we find ourselves in, I think so. I was so optimistic when the fans had that chat with Richard Arnold at the start of the window when we signed Ten Hag, and there was this sense that we finally could find our way. We've got a plan. We're going to play Ten Hag's way, but you can't just hire a manager who's got a philosophy that he follows, you know, so passionately and then not back him in the window. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, even if we do sign a couple of players now, they're not going to be his first choice targets. I mean,
No.
it's the scattergun again. We're just hoping for anyone really at this point.
Yeah.
Casemiro being the latest one. Now, as good a player as he is, 5-time European Cup winner, world class midfield destroyer, he's 30. I mean, we're not going to get many years out of him. We're going to be paying 60 million pounds for him, 70 million euro. We're probably going to be giving him an upgrade on his salary. Could be as much as £300,000 a week. That's a crazy investment on a 30-year-old, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and he's a totally different profile to Frankie De Jong, isn't he? He's not that type of player who's going to get a ball off the centre backs, go through midfield. He's not box to box. He's not at all what an alternative to Frankie De Jong. Like you say, he's a destroyer. It just sums it up. There's no plan.
Yeah, I mean, De Jong, Rabiot, and Casemiro, they're all different players. They're not similar at all. So again, it's just the scattergun approach. There's no vision, there's no plan. It's just whoever we can get. He's a bit good, he'll do. He's a bit good, he'll do. That's the approach. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like Casemiro is an elite player, but you're not going to get much out of him. 30 years old, you're not going to get. Does he even really want the move? Is he just in? We're giving him how many? What's his contract going to be like? Is he really going to be in it? Is he going to?
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it this way. What is his motivation for coming to Manchester United in the Europa League when he's at a club where he's won 5 European Cups? And there's a World Cup coming up soon where he will want to make sure that he's starting ahead of Fabinho for Brazil. He knows, I suppose he'll know that he's guaranteed to start at Manchester United, or is it Real Madrid? He's got some competition now from Chouameni and Camavinga and stuff. So that could be a motivation, knowing that he's going to start. He's going to get good money, probably a 4-year contract. But again, I am surprised that he's willing to drop out of the Champions League to come to United. I didn't think a player of his quality would be willing to do that. So it must be for financial reasons. But that's all we can do now. We've got nothing to offer players other than money.
Yeah, and the way we started the season as well. If we had done these deals early in the window, we could have pitched a project to these players. This is how we're going to play. This is what we're going to do. But now, you can tell we're desperate. You can tell the plan's gone out the window already.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever plan we have.
Yeah, it has. Anyone will do now, really, at this point. He's probably desperate to build a midfield that doesn't consist of Fred and McTominay, and I'm definitely on board with that one. He subbed them both against Brighton. They were the first 2 people to come off. But I was amazed that even though he dropped McTominay against Brentford, he then brought him on at half-time rather than Jimmy Garner. Yeah. Are you a bit disappointed that United are going to sell Jimmy Garner now to raise funds rather than giving him a chance?
Yeah, I am really. I've been following Garner for a few years. Yeah, I think he was labelled as the next Michael Carrick a few years ago, wasn't he? I think he has got a fair bit of potential. 15, 20 million to sell Garner when he hasn't been given a chance is ridiculous. And see players like Morgan Gibbs-White going for 45 million today to Nottingham Forest. We've never been one club for good for selling our players, but he definitely deserves a chance ahead of McTominay or Fred. Definitely. I think we'll come to regret that one if we do let him go.
I think so, yeah. Southampton are the club being linked with him at the moment, and 15 to 20 million is an absolute steal when you consider the Morgan Gibbs-White deal. So if he goes to another Premier League club and he stars, then we're still playing with one of Fred or McTominay or both in midfield, United fans are going to get very angry, and the club are going to be embarrassed. I mean, if he's going to be performing well for another Premier League team, I suppose our only way out of that situation is if we insert a buyback clause.
Buyback clause. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's our best hope. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because a permanent transfer doesn't make any sense unless that is inserted on
Mm.
20 or 30 million, something like that. If we're going to sell him for 20 million, assume the buyback clause will be a lot more than that,
Yeah,
probably 30 or something. But yeah, I do not want to see him go and flourish somewhere else where we're stuck with a really average poor midfield that we've been seeing for the last 5 years. No player with that ability should be sold without being given a chance. Like it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
it is.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
it just frustrates me. So Armand Bissaka has been linked with a permanent move back to Crystal Palace for £10 million after we paid 15 million for him. It's just, I mean, I didn't think that we'd get anything more than 20 million for him at a push, but
Hmm.
it seems as if the highest offer we're going to get is 10 million. I would just take it because, you know, if he's going to be second fiddle to Dallo for another season, I mean, his value isn't going to go up. This is the best we're
No.
going to get, so just sell him now.
Yeah, he's going to want to play. He probably won't get in the England squad. He's got a real competition only with Trent and James, but he's going to want to play. And he doesn't suit Ten Hag at all, does he? As much as we could really do with getting rid of Dallo, I don't think Dallo's really good enough either. But he's definitely the fit for Ten Hag over Wan-Bissaka. He needs to go.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's clear because Dallo is slightly better in the opposition's half of the field than what
Yeah,
Wan-Bissaka is. But like you said, there, Dallo, he's okay, but he's nowhere near the level required. You mentioned there Trent and Reece James. Dallo is nowhere near that level, is he?
no, no. Um, yeah, I think Dallo he's he's not a priority to get rid of, but stopgap for a season, he's okay. But I didn't really rate Wan-Bissaka at all. It's just the way he looks so clumsy with the ball at his feet. The amount of times in the last few seasons where I think players deliberately aim for him at the back post. The amount of times he switches off at the back post. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not really a fan.
no, I'm definitely not either. In the modern game, that type of fullback in a top team, it just doesn't work. I mean, if
No.
he was playing for a Sam Allardyce team, he'd be perfect right back. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not for a team that's looking to be in the top four or win league titles. He's just and what's hard to believe is he used to be a winger before he was a right back. He doesn't look like it.
No, not at all.
Because I mean, he make Gary Neville look good on the ball. I mean, I don't understand that sign whatsoever. Massive, massive waste of money. So Eric Bailly looks to be on the way out as well. The latest club being linked with him is Marseille. What I didn't like when I read this report is that it sounds like another loan. Surely he is someone that we could get funds for. Maybe
Yeah,
15 to 20 million. Why are we loaning? And Tellez was loaned out as well. I
yeah.
mean, Sevilla are sitting on the Jules Conde money. Why the hell are we loaning people to them? They should be paying for our players. But again, it's probably it's the wages, isn't it?
It probably is. Yeah. I think we're going to get Tellez back now with 1 year left on his deal at 30 years old. This doesn't make any sense. It's going to be the same for Bailly. He's going to be 28, 29, isn't
Yeah, and we're going to have to find somewhere else to loan him out to for the remainder of his contract because
he?
we're
Yeah.
certainly not going to be wanting him back. Just
Yeah. It's a strange one with Bailly because he looks so raw. He looked like a very raw player, but he looked like a very promising player when we got him, didn't he? Bailly.
yeah, I think injuries have really
Mm-hmm.
got in the way of his United career.
Yeah.
In 80% of the games that I've watched him play, I've been really impressed with him. He makes
Yeah.
the odd mistake. He can be rash at times. He scored that own goal for Man City. He can do stuff like that now and again. But like I say, 8 out of 10 games, he's brilliant. But Bruno Fernandes has played more games for United than Bailly, and Bailly has been at the club like 3 years longer. So that says it all, really, doesn't it?
Does, yeah. Yeah.
So in addition to Casemiro, you were saying yourself on Twitter about Casemiro that you're waiting for his partner to say that she doesn't fancy the rain in Manchester. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that happened.
Yeah, we've had a
Um,
few. I think we've had a few players like that, haven't we, with their partners and fancy it.
Yeah, it's either we love the lifestyle in Spain or we want to move to London. We don't fancy
Yeah,
Manchester.
yeah,
It
yeah.
seems to be.
I do
Go
think
ahead.
London clubs do have a big advantage, don't they?
Yeah, they do. The partners like the lifestyle in London. I remember
Mm.
even when Roy Keane was manager of Sunderland, he used to complain about players not wanting to come and live in Sunderland. They all want to live in the south. Okay, so bit of breaking news here from David Ornstein. He says Manchester United yesterday made an £80 million offer for Anthony, and bid rejected as Ajax intend to keep the 22-year-old Brazil international. Unclear if United will keep pushing, since it's unlikely, and Cody Gagbo among alternative options, as we know. Um, that's a big story there from the Athletic. I thought Manchester United had run out of money. That's what we were hearing. All of a sudden, they're splashing the cash all around. What is going on here? I thought we had a strict budget this summer, and we needed to sell to increase our budget. And all of a sudden, they've got a bottomless pit of cash. Is this Are they desperately trying to buy the fans off here because of the whole Jim Radcliffe situation? Are they trying to buy us basically? Is that what the Glazers? You think that's what they're doing?
Who knows? Quite possibly. It's a strange one. And if we did all these dealings off of this type of money at the start of the transfer window, like I say, we could have pitched a project to other players to come in. Maybe Frankie De Jong would have been here by now. It just seems bizarre to be doing it all now when clubs know that we now know
But
that we've got the money. So they're just going to be trying to squeeze as much out as we can. 80 million euros for Anti to be rejected. I'm surprised by that. Is that euros or
Euros, yeah. I don't think we should be paying that kind of money for any player in the Eredivisie because every player that comes from that league is a huge risk. You
yeah?
never know if they're going to make it in the Premier League or not. We know that the likes of Van Nistelrooy and Stam were huge successes, but equally, the likes of Memphis Depay was not a success. Daley Blind was okay, but there's been countless players that have come from the Eredivisie and they just haven't made it in the Premier League. So
Yeah.
80 million euros is a lot of dough for an unproven player like that. But if United had offered 80 million euros like 2 months ago, it would have been deal done. Uh,
I think so.
the situation now for Ajax is that they want to keep the current squad for the season that's already started. They don't want to be saying selling one of their best players after the 2 games into the season. If United had offered this money 2 months ago, they could have got it done and it would have given Ajax enough time to find a replacement. So again, United just leaving it too late to do the transfer business. And you touched on it earlier, and Richard Arnold meeting fans at the pub, and like some of us were quietly optimistic, that it sounded as if things were changing, but if anything, it's got worse.
Yeah,
it,
I was optimistic. Yeah, he said the money was there to back the manager. He doesn't want another season like last season, but that's exactly where we're heading, if not worse.
I think what will happen here, we'll end up with a couple of players. I think we chuck money at we're chucking money all around Europe at the moment, hoping that somebody will come to United. I think they'll probably get a midfielder in, and they'll probably get a forward in, and that's it. But I don't even care anymore. I'm just more, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter who they sign. They can sign Mbappe. I don't care. I just want now that a credible buyer, has emerged. I just want the club to be sold now. I want rid of the Glazers. I don't care who they buy. Um, Monday night, I want to see the protest being ramped up. Whatever it takes. If they stage a walkout or they don't go into the ground at all for the game, or they even get the game abandoned, as long as it's a peaceful protest, I'm all for it. And whatever,
100%.
like we've already got a Liverpool United game called off at Old Trafford. I would certainly be in favour of it happening again. Anything to get rid of these parasites, because it's 17 years now, and now we've now got a new owner being dangled in front of us. We want that now. It's now or never, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah, yeah. All we can hope for, yeah, is the protests keep going, which it looks like they will be. Yeah, I back that as long as it's peaceful. I don't think the last one when the Liverpool game was postponed, I don't think that was quite completely peaceful. So
Yeah, it wasn't. wasn't 100% peaceful, but most people didn't get involved in any vandalism or
Oh
violence.
yeah, 99%. I was there actually. I did go up to Manchester. Yeah, 99% of fans. Always get those few idiots, but yeah, if we're
Yeah,
going to keep doing that all season, we need to keep it peaceful.
yeah, definitely. If we can get another game called off, that would be huge progress. Because the only way we can't really hurt the Glazers by marching to the ground with banners and chanting anti-Glazer chants, and then going to the match afterwards and staying there for 90 minutes. We need to hit them in the pocket. That's where it
Yeah,
hurts most. We need to cause massive disruption. We need to, target their sponsors, get games called off, whatever. Don't be banned merchandise or match tickets. Of course, it's up to every individual what way they want to protest. I have no right to tell anyone what to do. But yeah, I think the thing that will hurt them the most is by hitting them in the pocket.
yeah,
'Cause that's
definitely.
all they care about, really.
Yeah,
So another player that been bizarrely been linked with is Christian Pulisic at Chelsea. He's not been playing many minutes this season under the new manager. I think he was the replacement for Eden Hazard, if I remember right. And he's looked really promising in spells at Chelsea. He's a very tricky player. He's got goals in him. But they've signed Raheem Sterling, and it's kind of sent him a wee bit down the packing order. I think he came on as a very, very late sub in the first game, and then in the 65th minute in the second game. So he's the captain of the USA team in a World Cup year. He wants to be playing regular football.
yeah,
Would you take him on loan at Manchester United?
yeah. I take him. Yeah, obviously he saves quite a bit of money. He's quite a versatile forward. Um, I don't see him coming. No, I don't think it makes sense for Chelsea to send him to us. I think there are other potential suitors. Um, yeah, I can't see that one happening, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't see what for Chelsea, like you say. Certainly not a loan deal. I think the only way they would sell to a Premier League rival is if they were getting a bit of money for him. Just why would Chelsea want to help us out by loaning us one
Yeah,
of their players?
exactly.
Doesn't make sense.
No.
I know we're relegation fodder and they're in the top three in the Premier League, but there's always that chance that United could come back into the reckoning for top four. That's the way they'll be looking at. So they'll not want to help us out by loaning us one of their forwards that's got great potential. He would go straight into our team, let's be honest, because Rashford isn't playing well. Ronaldo wants to leave. Sancho isn't playing well. So yeah, he would start immediately, wouldn't he, if he did come
He'd
in?
go straight in, yeah. Yeah, I'm quite surprised about how he's quite dispensable like that. I think it was the end of last season where he looks. Yeah, I think it was the end of last season. Where he looked like a real talent, and he has looked like that for the last couple of seasons at Chelsea in glimpses though.
Yeah, I think he plays well in bursts.
Yeah,
When he starts like 10 games in a row, he plays well. But then he's just had a few injury problems, I think, and that's kind of curtailed his form.
mm,
Um, so he fit in perfectly at United then, wouldn't he? Because he seemed to have countless injuries all the time. So yeah, I would take him if we can
yeah, I
get him,
took
but
him. Yeah.
I don't think that Chelsea will loan him to United. But then strange things happen on deadline day, don't they? So you just never know. Um, yeah, Casemiro and Pulisic would be pretty decent, but it's still not enough. Probably need another midfielder and a right back, um, and probably a striker. Yeah, so like with every window under the Glazers, we're not going to sign a player in every position that we need one. It's just going to be filling. Usually there's, let's say the summer is about 6 holes in our team. We're only going to fill 3 or 4 of them, and some of them will be left with the likes of Dallo right
Yeah.
back, and maybe I don't know up front. I mean, if Ronaldo leaves, we don't sign a number 9. What are we going to do then? Martial he played well in pre-season. We can't go on that too much. He's very injury prone now, Martial. So I don't know. Like we've tried for a few centre forwards, but we haven't been able to get anyone in. Benjamin Sesko is one of them. We were linked with Murata, and then that Atletico Madrid striker. can't remember his name now, but he doesn't score many goals. I think
Cunha.
he's Brazilian.
Yeah.
And I wasn't paying 50 million euro for a striker that doesn't score any goals. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, so just throw money at anyone now. I'd actually rather have Morata, to be honest, because I know he misses chances, but like he will get goals. This guy scores no goals at all. So yeah, don't want to be throwing any money away on him. Sesko, that's gone now because Red Bull have basically transferred him from one Red Bull club to another, and loaned him back. So that's off the table. Do you see any potential number nines we could get in this window to replace Ronaldo if he leaves?
I think Morata is not a bad shout. I think he doesn't get a lot of goals really, is he? But he works hard. He's I do think if we don't get Anthony, I don't think we're going to forward / winger. I maybe Gakpo. I don't think we'll get anyone significant, to be honest. No. I think once Anthony Martial comes back, I think that's what we're going to have to work with.
Yeah, and I think we are more likely to sign a wing forward than a centre forward. And Ten Hag will probably make do with that if Ronaldo leaves, because didn't he play Dejan Tadic as his number 9 the season before last? So he's quite comfortable with kind of using either a false number 9 or a winger at number 9. He doesn't seem to mind that too much, so he's quite adaptable in that way. So me personally, I prefer to have an actual striker in the team. We're linked with that fella. He's a big 6'7" striker from Stuttgart. I watched a bit of him on YouTube, and he just reminds me of Peter Crouch. He scores a lot of headers. He's got good feet on him for a tall guy. So I wouldn't have minded taking a punt on him if it was only 20 or 30 million euro. Have you seen much of him yourself?
I haven't, to be honest. No, no, I haven't. Not sure how you pronounce his name, but yeah, he can't be an expensive buy, I would have thought.
No, I don't think he would be. Not quite sure. If I wouldn't pay like 50 million for him, but I mean, if he was 20 million euros or 30 million euros, you'd take a punt on him. But we need someone. We need bodies because we're so light up front, aren't we? And we're so light in midfield.
I think it's going to run right to the end of the window now, to be honest, because if Man United can call in, why would you say yes? You know they're going to come back.
Yeah, his name is Sasa Kaladic. I think that's the one.
Yeah.
So
on the pronunciation of that one.
I know I'm just taking a guess at the pronunciation there, to be honest. But yeah, we're linked with many strikers, and I don't think we're going to get one at this point. I think we'll get a wing forward and a centre midfielder, and that's it really. And Ten Hag will have to work miracles. Because he hasn't been backed at all in this window. Even if he gets a couple of players now, they're just 5th or 6th choice options really. I mean, they're not going to be the profile of players that he wanted at the beginning of the window. Do you think Ten Hag maybe has to take a bit of criticism for how long the club pursued Frenkie de Jong, knowing that he probably wasn't going to come? If Ten Hag have instructed the club to move on from de Jong a lot sooner?
I suppose you could look at it that way. I think personally, I back Ten Hag for doing that. I think he had a plan. That was his number 1 signing. I think, to be fair, he is the perfect player for Ten Hag. I think that's the type of signing we needed to make early on in the window. The way Ten Hag plays, I think it was obvious what kind of players we needed to go with. When did we hire Ten Hag? April, May? It wasn't even before the window started, so we should have been on this early.
Yeah, they shouldn't have spent so long on. I know Ten Hag was desperate to have de Jong because he's a unique profile of midfielder, and he fits perfectly into his system. But there was no indication at all that he wanted to come to United. And
yeah, I think we should have kept it going in the background maybe and have other options. But like Fabian Ruiz was another one I liked in we didn't get de Jong, but he's off to PSG nevertheless. That's what I mean about no plan. It just Another position I think is a problem is the goalkeeper. As much as De Gea has saved us so many times over the last few years, he's not the type of goalkeeper that Ten Hag would want. I thought it was strange to send Henderson out on loan, but it just all shows that there's no plan.
Yeah, I think according to Henderson's interview with Talksport, he made the decision himself. He said that he had enough of the broken promises from
Broken
last
promises,
season,
yeah,
and that he didn't want Ten Hag to see him in training because he knew Ten Hag would want to keep him. You know, he's a bit full of himself, Henderson, but he's probably not wrong there because I think he's better with his distribution than what De Gea is. I mean, De Gea
100%.
just summed up how bad he is with his feet against Brentford.
Mm,
It's hugely concerning if De Gea is going to now have another one of those spells where he's not saving anything. I think there's a couple of seasons ago, he went through a really bad spell where he's just basically throwing the ball in the net
mm,
quite often, and he made a mistake in pre-season. He palmed one out against Brighton, which led to a goal. I mean, and then he made two errors that led to goals against Brentford. So it's not looking good. When his confidence goes, then his form just goes out the window completely. And that's the last thing we can afford right now is that type of De Gea in goal.
yeah,
And of course, the how poor he is with his feet is going to be an issue too because all the top teams now have sweeper keepers, and De Gea is just not that. He's not the long term option. Um, Tom Heaton, I think, is an old school keeper as well, so he's not going to be able to solve the problem. And one of the worst rumors I've heard today was United being linked with Asmir Begovic. Please tell me you're joking. I don't get that at all. I mean, he was a good keeper 8 years ago at Stoke. To me, he's just another Tom Heaton. Why would we need to bring him in? What a waste of money.
yeah. We've been linked to a few of those. I saw talk of a budget of about 7 million for a backup goalkeeper. Isn't it? We may as well not bother.
Yeah, it was upgraded from 1 million to 7 million. Apparently, the budget for a backup goalkeeper. We're linked with Jan Sommer, the Switzerland goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I've been impressed with him at tournaments. And he seems like a decent keeper. I think he plays for Mönchengladbach.
Hmm.
To me, if he came in right now, he should be starting, given the form of De Gea, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
I don't think he'll give up a guaranteed starting spot ahead of a World Cup. No, I don't think he would do that. So I don't think that one's on the table. Weren't we linked with was it Batchman, the Austrian keeper at Watford? That was another bizarre link, wasn't it? I just
Yeah. The Norwich keeper.
yeah,
Yeah, it seems
yeah,
like he's got even worse distribution stats than De Gea. It's like the only other one
yeah.
in the league.
I heard that. Yeah, it just makes no sense. Some of the players we're being linked with in this window. So apparently, according to Samuel Luckhurst, the Manchester United chief writer for the Manchester Evening News, he brought out an exclusive yesterday that Ten Hag is mulling over the prospect of starting Lissandro Martinez with Rafael Varane against Liverpool and dropping his captain Harry Maguire. I don't think any fan will complain about that. Varane is easily our best defender on paper. Don't know why he was left out for Maguire and Martinez. I mean, I don't understand the decision to keep Maguire as captain. I don't understand the decision to make him an automatic starter after the horrendous season he had last year. And Martinez is struggling to settle into the Premier League, which we thought he would because he's 5'9" and
Hmm.
he's going to be playing against big centre forwards. The third goal kind of just summed that up. So why would you not partner Martinez with your best defender in Varane? Maybe now he's going to see sense and he is going to throw Varane and Martinez together. And I wouldn't mind it at all. If Harry Maguire is relegated to the bench, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I thought Harry Maguire was gonna. He had a fair game against Brighton, I'd say. Obviously not great against Brentford. I did worry how we would make it work with Harry Maguire captain, then bringing in Martinez, and then having a World Cup winner, multiple Champions League winners sit on the bench. Yeah, Brands has to start. Yeah, I think it's a bizarre one to keep publicly say that Maguire is going to be captain, and then 2 games in, drop him. But yeah, I can't complain, to be honest. It's going on too long now, and it was Harry Maguire. He's not a starter for us at all.
Yeah, the Maguire Lindelof partnership, it just gives me nightmares, and I hope I've seen the last of that. Just too slow. Lindelof doesn't have the physicality playing the Premier League. Um, yeah, just and Harry Maguire is just a disaster all around. Um, Maguire only suits playing in the back three, and that's why he excels for England. He doesn't do it for United in the back four because his pace gets exposed, and he doesn't
Hmm.
fit the Ten Hag his system anyway because Ten Hag wants to play a high line. He wants his
Yeah,
defense on the halfway line ideally. And all the opposition need to do is knock the ball over the top, and then Harry Maguire is in deep trouble.
yeah,
I think we saw that against Brentford. So yeah, I didn't think this was going to be a long term solution. But the problem is, if he took the captaincy off Maguire in July, then and explained it to him that this is I'm a new manager, this is a new era, and I think I just want you to concentrate on your defending. But then if you let him keep the captaincy and then halfway through the season you take it off him, you completely shatter the player's confidence. And you lose the player. So I think he should have taken it off him, before the season started. What do you think?
yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Yes, like I said, it was a very strange one to publicly come out and say he's going to be the captain, and now find yourself. You know what type of player he is. You knew he was going to get exposed in the Premier League, putting him on the halfway line. Uh, yeah, very strange one to make him captain so publicly, and now find yourself dropping him after 2 games. Yeah,
Yeah,
won't
but
find me complaining.
no, I don't. Not one fan will be complaining about that. So so Liverpool then, assuming that it goes ahead, I would. I know Liverpool drew their first 2 games. The Nunez is obviously suspended. After that bizarre incident with Joaquin Anderson, he really he fell for it there, didn't he? He's been winded up quite a few times during the game, and then he threw the head at him, and that'll be him out for 3 matches. But I don't think it matters when it comes to Liverpool playing us. I still think they'll score goals against that defense. They'll walk through that midfield. Um, yeah, I think we're in trouble. I think Liverpool will win by 3 or 4. I'm afraid, just like last season. How do you see it going?
No other way, to be honest. Best we can hope for is get some signings in. I think maybe play a back five. Yeah, it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be ugly. We know that.
Yeah, there was a suggestion coming out from the dressing room that Ten Hag should be more pragmatic, that his system doesn't fit their skill set and all that sort of thing. But why should he? But Ten Hag's never played a back five in his career, I don't think. So
No,
he should. I'm in favor of him just sticking to his plan, his ideas, his system, and obviously in time he'll get players that are more suited to that. There's no point in trying to play pragmatic football and parking the bus and trying to get results because he just needs to stick to his style, um because you know you didn't see when Guardiola came in and Jurgen Klopp came in to Liverpool and City. They didn't they had ropey starts. Guardiola finished fourth in his first season. Klopp finished eighth in his first season. You
mm,
didn't see them reverting to Sam Allardyce football to get a few results. They stuck to what they
no.
know, didn't they?
Yeah, I do agree with that. But obviously, I think Liverpool and City, the foundations of the club are much better than what we find ourselves in. I think I won't be surprised if just for this derby we find ourselves playing a different way. Um, the last thing we need is another five or 6-0.
So part of me thinks whether he reverts to a back five or plays the way he always plays, I think we'll get beat anyway. I don't think it really matters
Oh, we'll
because
get beat. Yeah. It's just about what by how many.
because didn't Ranić go for the back five at Anfield and we're 1-0 down within about 5 minutes? So and bizarrely brought Phil Jones out of the cold.
Yeah.
I don't. I just don't think it matters. I think we played a back five at home to City last season to try and keep the score down, but I think it was only 2-0 in the end. But it was like the most one-sided 2-0 you'll ever see. I mean, they just toyed with us for 90 minutes, didn't they? It
Yeah,
was
yeah, it's a
humiliation.
struggle. And then yeah, what do we do? Do we potentially go pragmatic and then find ourselves one of them again inside 10 minutes, or it's a tough one, and we're going to have to see what type of signings come in between now and Liverpool, I think.
Yeah, Everton fan says here anyway. United are muck. Yeah, we're probably even worse than Everton now, to be honest with you. Where is our next 3 points going to come from? You might say Southampton, but I wouldn't bet on United to win that game. And then after that, we're playing Leicester and Arsenal. You know, even if we do beat Southampton, it's quite possible we're going to have 3 points from our first 5 games. It's just insane, isn't it?
Yeah. Where do we find our next 3 points? I really don't know.
I mean, there's just not.
Arsenal? No.
No way. I think they'll beat us in current form. Gabriel Jesus will fancy getting a couple of goals against that defense. I just, yeah, we're going to have to take a lot of pain here in the next 6 months or so, and hopefully the takeover has happened by January, and then we can bring in a few players to help us survive. And
Yeah.
then once we stay up this season, then we can build for next season.
Yeah. Hopefully Casemiro comes in, and then we can have some sort of structure to the midfield. Because I think that's our biggest problem. That teams just seem to run through like they're not even there.
Yeah, it's like a knife through butter.
Mm.
Yeah, Casemiro, not an ideal signing because of his age, and obviously not the profile of player that Ten Hag wanted at the start of the window. But boy, is he a combative midfielder, and
Yeah.
he loves to get stuck in. Also, he can score goals from long range. He scored some tasty goals for Real Madrid. I'd love to see him do that at United. Do you know what? Just make him captain if he comes in, because he's captain material, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. He's one more than most. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're getting the Real Madrid old boys back at United,
Yeah.
aren't we? We just take all their cast off every season. Ronaldo, Varane, and now Casemiro. I mean, who's going to be next season? Benzema. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's a good-looking spine to the team on paper.
Yeah, but that's the problem with United. It looks good on paper, but
On
they don't
paper.
produce any results, don't they?
Yeah.
It's just Matt here says that Casemiro is exactly what United need. Yeah, I would go along with that. It's just a pity he's not 25 rather than 30.
Yeah.
Bruce says Modric going to come in next, and then we get Kroos in after that. Yeah, and then we never got Ramos. Yeah, we wanted him as well, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Matt Smith says Figo. Yeah, it's
better than Rashford and Sancho at the moment. Yeah, bring him in. Bring Figo in.
Yeah, definitely, mate. How do you feel about Rashford? If PSG offered 60 million for him, would you take it?
I think you've got it at 60. Yeah, I think you'd go to PSG, to be honest, and tear it up. I think he's confident when he's on form and he's got confidence. I think he is a real talent. But yeah, you'd have to take 60 million, I think.
Yeah, I would as well. I think both parties need to cut ties now. I think Rashford needs a fresh start, and United need to move on from Rashford because he's been out of form for 2 years now. It doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. And it seems as if PSG been after Rashford for a couple of years now. His brother, an agent, has been negotiating with them. I think that'll be a good move. The French league is obviously less competitive than the Premier League. You probably get quite a few goals there. It probably if he plays well PSG, he might catch Gareth Southgate's eye again and get himself back in the England squad, because in current form he's getting nowhere near that World Cup squad.
Yeah, but will he play at PSG? I suppose.
Yeah, I don't even know would he even be guaranteed. He'd probably be replacing Di Maria, I suppose, in the squad. But I mean, if Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi are fit, where does he fit in?
I don't think he does. Simple as that. I don't think he does.
He doesn't. He probably end up being backup there. but yeah, I just don't think it's working out for him at United. And if we weren't so short in numbers in the front three, I think we'd probably, if we were offered good money for him, we'd probably move him on. But given that we're so short at the minute, I don't think that we will sell him. That's my feeling. But if I was in charge, I'd be ruthless and get the money for him. And a lot of fans feel the same, but I don't think the club will sell him.
Oh no, I just think we'll see him go there now.
Matt says here, United literally need to do what Arsenal did. Bruce will back me up here. Said that this for over a year, complete reset. You have your Arteta manager now. Get rid of all the deadwood. Yeah, absolutely, but it's going to take time because we don't have like the money that Guardiola had when he took over City. He could get 10 out and 10 in one window. We can't do that at United given the constraints of the Glazernomics. So hopefully there will be a squad rebuild, but it's going to take 3 or 4 seasons, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We haven't got the plan that Arsenal and City have either. I think Arsenal have looked really good, to be fair, under our last year or so under Arteta. They've clearly got the plan to bring these youth players through and grow them all together. I think Odegaard, Saka, all these young, they're going to all grow together, and I think they're going to do well.
Yeah, Arsenal. Yeah, Jesus, I think was a quality addition.
Yeah.
And they're looking to get 20 league goals out of him. But it's still going to be difficult for them because Conte at Tottenham is going to be a different beast. They obviously got into the top four, and I can easily see Conte getting them into the top four again. Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for Arsenal and United to get anywhere near the current top four. Is that how you see it as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously City and Liverpool and the guarantees are in another league. Then you have to be looking at Chelsea and Tottenham. Yeah, I certainly don't see us competing with that. Maybe Arsenal going to the top four ahead of Chelsea. Maybe. See how it goes.
If we got Casemiro on a really good forward like Anthony or Gagpo, do you think that would be enough to make us competitive with the top four, or do you think we're just going to be at best, fifth or sixth?
Yeah, I think this season we can rule out top four already. To be honest, I don't think it really matters who we bring in. I just see it all going the same way. It doesn't matter who we bring in. It's just dead. What can I say? Just a dead feeling around the club at the moment.
Yeah.
If we're gonna get Champions League, our best bet is probably through the Europa League already.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we probably have to put all our eggs into that basket in the second half of the season, and hopefully we can win the trophy. Because, I don't. I think it's only 2 games in already. I think top four is a write off. I mean, we're sitting bottom of the league. I mean, we'd be cheeky even to talk about finishing in the top four. Given how shambolic the start of the season has been. Obviously, Arsenal last season lost their first 3 games, didn't score a single goal, and nearly made top four. But United are just total shambles at the moment, and I don't see it happening. Matt was saying this is what we were talking about earlier. Old Trafford isn't even a safe structure; it's fallen down. We're talking about the leaky roof earlier, and them painting over the rust with red paint. After all the promises about these world-class architects coming in to build a new stadium or give it a revamp, it's just a joke. I mean, they're not going to spend the money, and so this is another reason why we need someone like Jim Ratcliffe to take over the club. So finally, just before I wrap things up, it's a World Cup year. It's a very bizarre season, isn't it? It's going to, I think, the last Premier League game before the World Cup is November the 12th, I think, and then it restarts again on Boxing Day. Very strange season. But Wales are in the World Cup, aren't they?
We are, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't read the script. Didn't allow Ukraine to get into the World Cup. I remember watching that game. So they're in England's group. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Is it USA and Iran, the other teams in that group?
Yes.
So, do you fancy Wales' chances of getting through that group?
It's going to be tough. I think USA will be obviously England. I imagine will finish top, and then I think USA will be our strongest competition with our second spot. We just have to try and get out of the group, see what happens. Much like the Euros a few years ago.
Yeah, in 2016
Mm.
semi-finals, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Put Belgium out, I think. After losing to England in the group stages, you managed to get further than England in the tournament. Yeah, should be hoping for more of that then. This is the first World Cup for Wales since 1958. Is that right?
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
long
been a long
time
time
coming.
coming. Yeah, and I mean Gareth Bale only seems to turn up for Wales now. He's a golfer most of the year, and then he's a footballer whenever it's the international break.
Yeah, yeah. I think he is maybe planning on retiring after the World Cup. See what happens with LA. I think he's going to have a think about his career then. After that, see if he wants to help us qualify for the next Euros. But it might be it. Might be it after this World Cup for Bale.
What club did he go to again? Was it somewhere? Was it LA
LAFC.
Galaxy?
No, they.
LAFC.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, I suppose he's at that stage in his career. But if no, despite the drop down in level, I'm sure there's no doubt that he'll be picked for the Wales squad for the World Cup, given who he is.
oh
Um,
yeah, I think he's just gone there to maintain fitness. To be honest, after being released by Real Madrid, yeah, I think he's just gone there for a bit of a holiday. Might be a bit strong, but yeah, just to maintain fitness. I think.
yeah, I imagine after this season he might call it a day and just become a professional golfer. Yeah, Matt says here, did Gareth Bale play in the '56 World Cup? He hasn't been around that long now. Um, Okay, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, Jimmy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Hopefully we can do this again sometime, and hopefully we've more happier things to talk about the next time you're on.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, hopefully we get
Okay.
a trophy this season. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully. Maybe the Europa League, like you said earlier, and that'll get us into the Champions League. But like Matt says in the chat, there's so many good. There could be good teams in the Europa League, so it could be difficult. But we'll wait and see. Hopefully the new owner comes in at some point this season and get a few new players and get us up that table, and then we can finally move on from this horrible Glazer era. So I'll see you later then, Jamie.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks.
No problem.